The movie Sideways took us on a bizarre journey through Central California's wine country. Now a new Smithsonian Channel special, United States of Drinking, looks at some of America's favorite drinks. Award-winning food writer and host Josh Ozersky takes a spirited trip across the country.
So this is where the liquid is separated from the grain.
Okay.
So after this process, we'll have the grain will be left over.
This smells delicious. It's like a muffin when it's cooking.
Liquid bread.
This mash is very similar to the corn beer I tasted at Scott's Whiskey Distillery. But Matt is going to use a different mix of grains because even though it's fine for distilling into high-proof moonshine, corn beer is really not very tasty.
Josh is here now. Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
A lot. What's in the coffee, by the way? Or is
That
it
I
just
have to take
coffee?
the fifth on.
Where did the idea for this come from?
Well, Smithsonian and I were working together, and, you know, like, part of my job as Esquire's food editor is to go around the country. Also, a big part of it is drinking. You know, I write a lot of stuff about wine and cocktails, and it's all part of American life, which is really the kind of thing I find interesting to write about, and I think that's kind of the coolest part of the show.
No, I thought you had the dream job as a food editor at Esquire magazine, and now you're hitting the road for alcohol, but you were on search for something. At one point you said, I'm looking for the quintessential American drink. It's not only what we drink, but how we drink it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing with all this stuff, with whiskey, with wine, with beer, with all the things that we looked at, is there's such an intensely integrated part of American life. You know what I mean? Like, whiskey goes all the way back, I mean, practically to the dawn of time, but even here in America, you had the Whiskey Rebellion. Like, George Washington had to march, you know, with an army to put down the Whiskey Rebellion. And the roots of moonshine are where we get NASCAR from. And
What do you mean where we get NASCAR from?
well,
Moonshine.
NASCAR developed out of runners, you know, guys like Junior Johnson or whatever, that were basically running away from sheriffs, you know, moonshine having been illegal then as now in some ways. And
Let's talk about moonshine, because your first stop on this trip was rural Virginia, right?
yeah.
At 9
yeah.
in the morning, Nora, he said, it's a good time for moonshine.
You know what else? It was so hot. Like, you know, there was a gin distillery in Washington, and we went there, and it was like perfectly climate controlled and everything. And this place was the opposite. I mean, basically it was a wood shack on the top of a mountain, and like, I was schwitzing, you know, it was so hot. But
Schwitzing, that's
I
a
was
good word.
well, you know, it's like you could tell I'm from rural Virginia, you know.
That's right.
No, but it was so clear and clean and beautiful, and such an amazing process. I kind of found it very inspiring.
And even more inspiring as you continued drinking the moonshine, I would assume.
Yes, and I didn't stop when the camera stopped rolling either.
There was something else you said that at one point you said not all ice is created equal, because I thought, what's the big deal about ice? But you actually say there's a lot to do with the ice.
Yeah,
the difference it
a
makes.
big part of the modern cocktail movement is having the perfect ice, you know? So there's, like, we did a segment with Eben Freeman from the Alta Marea group, who is a mixological genius. And he had these huge, like, ice dominoes. He had round ice cubes, the giant blocks that you
Crushed
sometimes see.
ice. Yeah.
Crushed ice, pebbled
makes a
ice.
difference.
Because it all makes a difference. How much does it water down the drink? How fast does it melt, you know?
And they're paying like ridiculous amounts of money for these proper ice
That's
cubes.
well worth it.
Hey, I'm not going to argue.
One of the things you point out is the beer renaissance and all these small craft breweries. I mean, it's the great kind of entrepreneurship and craftsmanship that really exists in America.
Yeah, to me, it's one of the coolest things because it's very entrepreneurial, it's independent, you know, it's like you have all these giant breweries making thousands of tons of beer, and then you have these guys where it's just one or two guys maybe doing it basically, you know, it's like, remember Michael Jordan had his love of the game clause?
yes.
So they're making so many different types of beer that reflect where they're from, the regions. I think it's very cool.
We'd love to
assignment
keep
for you,
chatting, but we
Josh.
got to run. Josh Ozersky, thank you very much. The United States of Drinking premieres tomorrow night on Smithsonian Channel, which is partnered with Showtime, a division of CBS.